Alright, Chapter 7, Hydrostatic Testing. A practical guide for pipeline construction inspectors. Hydrostatic Testing, Overview. 17. Hydrostatic testing is a form of pressure testing used to confirm whether the pipeline has acceptable strength, will not leak under operating conditions. Hydrostatic testing uses water opposed to air to perform tests. The operator owner companies pressure test new pipeline after it is installed, but before it is put into service for the following reasons. Prove integrity. Fabricated assembly include all welds to ensure safety, public, environmental, surrounding property. Conform qualified fabricated assembly line pipe material supplied by vendors. Field welds perform on the right of way to ensure pipeline system can be safely operated at specified maximum operating pressure. Prove the workmanship of the fabricators comply with the industry governing body regulations. Caution: air contains significantly more stored energy compared to water. Poses increased risk due during testing as a result, and only use the pressure testing under a situation where elevation differences result in an impractical number of test sections if there is a shortage of water. For the reason, scope of the document is limited to hydrostatic testing. 72 inputs. As part of the preparing inspection during hydrostatic testing process, the inspector will continually familiarize himself with the relevant aspect with key document drawings, owner company technical specification identified in Table 134. Execution. While being executed, the inspector is required to monitor the workmanship report with the progress periodic basis. The typical items of the inspector will monitor during the hydrostatic testing process. Identify a series of checklists organized around a typical sequence of events during hydrostatic test, detailed in Table 133. Table 133. On a daily basis, ensure key issues have been identified, detailed, addressed, and review. Conform all testing equipment that have been certified and fully functional advanced testing operation. Safety. Monitor operation adherence to relevant owner company and project-specific safety requirements. Environmental consideration. Identify specific items monitored throughout the hydrostatic operation that relate to specifically owner and company project-specific environmental protection plan. Preparing testing section, monitoring contract work, ensure the testing section is prepared, install test heads, cleaning, test water removal, equipment use, owner company specification, preparing pressure tests, ensure all required permit plans, calculations are approved in place by the commencing hydrostatic testing operation. Filling the pipe, conform pipe is filled with a hydrostatic test plan. Preparing for pressurization, ensure instrument and equipment is placed in prior to pressure testing, includes setting up test bus. Pressurization, establishing pressure volume curve. Determine slope pressure volume curve relationship between volume water and injected testing section. Corresponding pressure rises. Pressurization leak check if required. If there is a need for a yield plot when there is fill plumb is shut off, the test head should be checked for the leaks and pressure compared to two head test head pressure gauges validated against elevation differences. Pressurization strength test. Roof strength is installed with a hydrostatic test plan. Pressurization leak test. Follow controlled depressurization process. Strength test to leak test. Leak and failure investigation. In case of pipe leak with a failure during hydrostatic test, the contractor will inspect the test section routine route of the water ponding in the wet soil located with the leak and determine the cause of the failure. Advise the inspector. Visual inspection does not reveal the leak location and advice of the owner company further action. Inspector will notify the construction manager, chief inspector, work with the contractor to develop a leak detection plan and have it approved. When the leak is discovered, the contractor will repair the pipe and section. Hydrostatic will be conducted again. Depressurizing. Ensure the depressurizing has happened safely in preparation, dewatering, drying. Dewatering. Confirm dewatering happens in a manner consistent with environmental permits and approval. Test head removal. The replacement. The contractor will supply all materials, equipment, and personnel will remove the test heads, replace with the pig launcher, receiver, and tie in the other facilities specified in the owner company. Drying. In order to prevent internal corrosion on one of three methods of the drying should be undertaken the owner company specification. Drying pigs, air drying, methanol. R17.4 outputs. Inspectors should report workmanship progress on a periodic basis, completing various reports on each workday and end of the week. Report requirements, reporting process, owner company and project specific. However, the best practice with reporting requirements for hydrostatic testing appear in 151. Alright, detailed checklist hydrostatic testing, typical input requirements hydrostatic testing inspection, table 134, information requirements hydrostatic testing, description, all design drawings, specific specifications designed to develop own contractors hydrostatic testing such as alignment sheets, pipeline facility drawing, line list drawings, specific hydrostatic testing included but not limited to temporary launchers and receivers, elevation profiles, contract agreements related to the road use, construction, buried facility with the constructor surveys, permits related to use, road use, water withdrawal, discharge, hydrostatic tests, owner company specific safety plan, but included but not limited to traffic control plan, requirements of personal protective equipment, emergency medical service, emergency contact list, project specific environmental protection plan, detailed hydrostatic testing requirements. Alright, other project-specific plans which may include hydrostatic testing plan addressing, but not limited to the following items: site-specific safety hazard, appropriate analysis, emergency response plan in the event of rupture during the test, testing personnel emergency contact list, testing section design process, determination class, location, elevation profile, testing section lengths, test water sourcing, filing, pressure, depressurizing, watering, dewatering, assessing to test section, road crossing signage, possible reduction number of sections of heavy wall pipe, the sequence of a hydrostatic test, test pressure calculation, minimum test head braiding, testing crew, credential test, equipment list, capability test schedule, sequence of tests, instrumentation and their certification, provision of protective berms and around fuel storage, used to fuel-driven line fuel pumps as required, leak detection mechanism plan if required. Alright, table 135, prior to commencement of work, participate in daily meetings, address job safety, hazard identification, and issues, environmental concern, duty inspector, pipeline contractor, tail meeting, and ad hoc meeting contractor, discuss, clarify questions and concerns, confirm hydrostatic testing is approved, check of the signs and contact and public access point of the right of way that if required temporarily restrict access points, check signage and contact information all exposed pipe locations, communicate rest of the construction management, inspection resource regarding test schedule and location, check the test water withdrawal of the disposal notification registration and or permits are placed, confirm schedule will allow the full length of the string, leak test and start with the completion of any water source volume with the flow rate sufficient, test section meet regulatory conditions prior to upon completion of hydrostatic tests, ensure that the local authorities are alerted, check all testing equipment, certification, pressure records, test weights, ensure a copy of the certification documents are on site. Table 136, safety concerns, hydrostatic testing, confirm comprehensive safety hazard equipment is covered in detailed hydrostatic testing. Table 137, typical monitoring environmental consideration, ensure all stationary equipment, pumps, generators, fuel containers with specified distances, water course, water body, secondary containment, ensure all equipment that is used in a specified distance from water course, water body is clean and free of leaks, are equipped with improved spill kits, ensure appropriate testing associated disposal conducted with the disposal of the test water, debris, and cleaning and operation, ensure appropriate contaminant is installed with the receipt of any cleaning of drying pigs. Check lengths of the exposed pipe at the ends of the test head and connected and kept the minimum. Ensure for the record required bell holes, small excavated areas are monitored air quality. Ensure during winter construction hoarding plastic insulation over wooden frame used to maintain temperature around exposed section of pipe. Heating is installed exposed section ends where test heads are to be welded. Inspect test heads installation valves. Ensure that they are refurbished and required. Ensure that the test heads are as welded and per owner company specification. Ensure that the specialized welding inspection expertise engaged in welding process as per section 12.0. Ensure good access and installation valve with the either through orientation installation scaffolding. Ensure safety zone and around test heads, pig launchers, and receivers are established, maintained throughout the operation. Confirm environmental inspectors collecting, sending fill water laboratory testing such as result available before filling. Hard table 139, typical monitoring requirement preparing pressure test. Ensure the final test pressures calculation sheet is signed on the day of the owner company designated available to check with the water tanks have the capacity to complete the test section before running out of water. Check the pumps have the correct capacity for the pressure delivery with the volumetric flow rate. Check the water hose with the fill with the squeeze of the activity to have the correct ratings. Check water heating boiler, hydrostatic testing in winter session are in working order. Confirm high records and pipe skin ground temperature measure for the install with the correct location. Specify hydro testing plan hydrostatic test plan. Check all the temperature records, measure fill water temperature, and install the working properly. Check if the air pressure, the pressure gauges are installed with the test head. Check flow turbine installed with the fill water line connected to test head. Check all hoses, connection instruments, test bus are installed. Ensure supply discharge lines are adequately anchored, supported per installed hydrostatic testing plan. Ensure all others are correctly installed and secured when monitoring on an ongoing basis. Check if the lights and generators are working order. Confirm portable laboratory testing of the water quality is available if required. Alright, your test bus. Ensure the test bus is supplied with the following: table chairs, light heaters, drink, water, snacks, paper napkins, pressure charters, temperature charts, pressure recorders, either hydraulic, deadweight, electronic recorders, flow totalizers show the total volume of the water injected in the test section, thermometers, ambient or alternate test instrument capability, certificate of test system, spare parts. Ensure that the contractor will install the thermometer outside of the test bus. It should measure the ambient temperature during pressure testing. Alright, table 140, typical monitoring requirements of filling the pipe. Ensure the accuracy of flow turbine flow totalizer confirmed and discrepancy is resolved prior to the proceeding winter test prior pipe. Ensure that the preheating requirements are identified and hydrostatic plan executed. Ensure testing section is filled with using pegs based on specific procedure, particularly to avoid trapping air in the water source. Maintain control peg. Confirm the starting position on all the valves. The equipment is specified with the filling procedure for the hydrostatic testing. Additional specific seasonal consideration may also be applied. Check record continually the totally injected volume of the flow totalizer. Ensure filling of the continuous lead filling peg is seen with the downstream test head. Ensure filling procedure is specified for the hydrostatic testing is followed. Our table 141, typical monitoring requirements preparing pressurization. Come prepared as the following items: test site with the test bus, pressure on the testing section, yield plotting, final validated calculations, stamp signed, dated with the owner, company designated, mechanical pencil, pen, eraser, rule, calculator, writing, graph paper, envelopes, owner, company hydrostatic test form, logs, unit conversion table, watch, cell phone charger, and water, food. Or examine the table, test calculation, determine the head of the web does not yield the required prior to accordingly establish pressure, increase rates of the per owner company hydrostatic test plan using pressure recorder, clear note, establish the start and stop pressure for the portion of hydrostatic test pressure, calculation sheet, ensure all instrument and equipment setting with the own company head hydrostatic test plan, ensure the contractor is unhooked with the fill up and hooked up, then start with the squeeze pump and specified with the owner company depressurized testing section. Log of the type of the test section, pressure using deadweight pressure recorder, water volume using flow totalizer on the log sheet, minimize charges to pump setting before completing yielding plot, resolve the pressure wave with unyielding reliable yield points. Alright, table 143, typical mining requirements: leak check, yield plot if required, check for the test heads leak and pressure while filling pump, shut off, compare the two S heads pressure gauge with the validity against the elevation differences, ensure pressure versus volume plot is produced and values are verified against hydrostatic. Testing calculation discrepancy should be removed before proceeding further. Conform re-establish yielded plot start and stop procedures used. Ensure limited identified yielding pipe established monitored hydrostatic test plan pressurization should be stopped if the limits exceed. Recording results yield plot log sheet. Alright, typically monitoring requirements of strength tests. Ensure all instrument and equipment is installed with the personal owner company hydrostatic test plan and confirm and establish yield plot, start and stop pressures are used. Ensure pre-established pressure increase rate is maintained. Ensure limited of the identified yield pipe with established monitoring hydrostatic plan pressurization should be stopped as exceeded. Record resolve of the yield plot log sheet is appropriate time. Ensure the contractor is avoided the lock test section. Install bowl plug in the inlet point, and the test section is declared to be on strength test. Fill out the strength test data log as required by the owner company. Access the strength test by assigning dating and log pressure remains at the minimum value specified by the hydrostatic test plan. If the pressure drops below the minimum test pressure, proceed to investigate resolve of the hydrostatic test plan. Alright, ensure pressure reduction strength test valve with the leaked valve completed with a manner consistent with the hydrostatic test plan. All other monitoring requirements similar with the strength test per table 144. Alright, table 146. Typical minor requirement to leak with a failure investigation. Advise the owner company further action event with the contractor cannot locate a pipe leak with determined with the cause of the failure. Hydrostatic testing, visual inspection. Notify construction manager, chief, the inspector, or designator. Designate work with the contractor to develop a leak detection plan adopted or approved. When leak is discovered, the contractor repairs leak. Owner company specification. Other portion of the document is referenced prior to conducting hydrostatic tests again. Table 147, typical monitoring requirements for depressurization. Ensure that the contractor does not start the depressurization until recorded and all required personnel are on site, and confirm the contractor has taken safety precautions before starting the depressurization test section. Check contractor secure depressurization hose to prevent vibration during pressure release. Ensure contractor is opening test head slowly to protect it from shock loading of the pipeline. Ensure contractor or other personnel does not, under any circumstances, open the bleed off assembly fully. Alright, table 148, typical monitoring requirement of dewatering. Ensure the contractor does not start dewatering until the required personnel are on site. Ensure the contractor dewaters to the location approved the water permanent environmental protection plan. Ensure the contractor does not dewater until the proper or fill water sampling is complete with the filtration unit is in place if required. Ensure the contractor securely support with the down dewatering line at discharge end to prevent whipping. Conform the contractor does not mechanically connect or does not use mechanical connections on dewatering line. Ensure contractor install the energy absorbing diffuser discharge and dewatering line to prevent erosion, bottom skirt, and damage to vegetation. Check with the contractor bidirectional pig propelled with compressed air to push the water out of the test section. Check with the contractor probe the dewatering pigs to verify the proper position before the dewatering runs. Ensure the test section dewatering based on the specified procedure is particular with appropriate pressure set points, pig speed, and maintain test section downhill, dewater appropriate precautions identified by our hydrostatic test plan. Additional specific special seasonal consideration may also apply. Inspect damage unit fittings once the test head is removed. Check with the sacrificial pump of the removed nut studs valve and properly secured with transport. Complete test head inspection documentation. Ensure heavy wall pipe and is prepared with welding during final tie-ins. Alright, table 150, typical monitoring requirements of drying. General conform drying method of the contractor is consistent with the hydrostatic test plan requirements. Ensure owner and company criteria with the dry line are met. If the pipeline will not be commissioned soon after drying, ensure pipeline is purged by dry nitrogen to meet owner company specification. Dry pig runs. Ensure pigs used for the dry runs are specified by the owner company. Form the number of the pig runs. Owner company requirements. Each pig should be numbered. Ensure the dry pigs are counted upon receipt. Ensure no pigs remain in the line. Air drying. Ensure injected dried air relatively humidity reading meet specification. Methanol wash. Owner company has specified methanol wash to accept the drying method. Ensure specification for injection and recovery are followed. Alright, table 151, typical reporting requirements for general. Record all hydrostatic testing calculation result. Complete safety hazard observation report. Complete test heads inspection documentation. Establish pressure volume curve. Log time test section pressure using deadweight pressure recorder. And water volume using flow totalizer on the log sheet. Leak check record result of the yield plot log sheet. Strength test. Fill a strength test data log as required to owner companies. Daily complete hydrostatic testing progress reports include any and all monitoring inspection items defined as previous tables in section 17. Reference hydrostatic testing. Note the reference information provided on the table 152 is intended with the guide only in list and exhaust the document nature of the update frequently with the remainder of the responsible user. To ensure correct, most current documentation reference is appropriate. You have American Petroleum Institute recommended practice 1110 pressure testing steel pipeline transportation gas, petroleum gas, hazardous liquid, highly volatile liquids, or carbon dioxide. You have your INGO Foundation CSS9 construction safety consensus guideline pressure testing hydrostatic pneumatic safety guides. Alright, chapter 18 cleanup and restoration.